Another month, another real estate market update. We're calling this episode the Deep Dive, and we are talking all things forecast for the housing market in the second half of 2024. You know, there's a saying about real estate agents, and it goes, most agents know what's happening, good agents understand what's happening, and great agents can explain what's happening. And that is my goal for you today. Question one that we're going to answer today is what most likely lies ahead for the national real estate market in the rest of the year. Now, what I really want to talk to you about in this section is inventory. So in most markets across the nation, and especially where I work, which is New Hampshire, Maine, and Massachusetts, we're seeing inventory rise, especially at a higher price point, right? So a big reason for that really is for the last few years, we've had so many sellers that were just waiting for those rates to drop before they made a move. It seems like a lot of people have kind of realized that that's unlikely to be the case, so they're making their move regardless of what those rates look like. So right now, we're gonna look at all of the homes currently for sale in New Hampshire, plus the homes that have closed in the last 30 days, and we're gonna filter for a price point of $300,000 to $600,000. So what we end up with here is an average days on market of 33 days and a median days on market of 11 days. Now let's do it again, and all we're gonna do is change the price point from 300 to 600 to 600 to 900. This time we've got an average of 43 days in the market and a median of 18 days. We were just talking about inventory and how it relates to how many homes are on the market currently, which is what inventory in the housing world is. So why are we talking about the days on market metric? The reason I bring this up is because days on market is one of the key indicators of the health of the market and the competition in the market. Overall, what I'm saying here is based on both the data available and what I am seeing in the market as a professional who works in this arena all day, every day, is that at the lower price points, and I totally understand that, you know, 300,000, I would not consider that a low price point, but based on what we, currently see in the real estate world and what has happened to housing prices, that's just where that would fall in that category now. But when we're working in this lower price range, there is still a decent amount of competition. Now, it's nowhere near what it was in 2020 and 2021, but it's still a healthy amount of competition. So if you're a buyer or if you're a seller working in that price range, I want you to keep that in mind. Meanwhile, if you're a buyer or a seller in that higher price range, I think it's really important to know that the market has slowed down significantly more there. Houses are sitting on the market for longer. I'm not seeing typically, multiple offer situations unless it's a particularly great house. So really, if you're a seller going in at that higher price point, I want you to be cautious and I want you to make sure you have fantastic marketing and that your house is really ready to go. And if you're a buyer at that price point, this might be the best time for you to buy that we've seen in several years. Now, talking about prices, take a quick look at this graph. This shows the predictions in appreciation, and this is from every forecaster from Fannie Mae to Zillow. Now, this averages out to about 2.9% predicted residential home appreciation this year, and that definitely is a less aggressive stance that we've seen from forecasters over the last few years. It's important to understand that prices are not falling, and we are not seeing a crash in prices right now like some people predicted. People were scared over the last few years that the housing market the bubble was going to burst and we were just going to have this crash. That's not what's happening here. Really what this is a turn to more of a healthy market and a more of a neutral market, right? We are still very undersupplied in inventory in this country. Now, that inventory has increased and mortgage rates have stayed high, so that's what's kind of helping this level out. But there is still a huge gap that needs to be filled for inventory in the market, and that's what's really supporting the housing market and letting it turn back towards something that's a little bit more healthy. So that brings us into the topic of what is driving the market and what will continue to drive the market in the rest of 2024. Now, we live and work in a demand-based rate environment. Okay? Supply and demand are the pillars of the housing market, just like they are the rest of the economy in the country. So right now, as of mid-July 2024, we're hovering around a national average interest rate on a 30-year loan of about 6.5%. If that continues to go down, we're going to see demand for mortgages increase, and if it goes below 5, we're going to see a massive increase in that demand. As we just discussed, we are only starting to now see a serious increase in the supply of housing in the country, in the inventory, right? So there's a very careful balancing act that needs to happen right here. If mortgage rates drop too quickly, the market is very likely to flood with buyers, and that is going to be putting way more pressure on the prices than we've already had, right? We are just getting to where those prices are starting to soften, where they're not increasing practically exponentially every year. So there needs to be a period of time where the market can heal before we bring those interest rates back down and bring all these buyers back in. Competition is what is driving the increase in prices, and having a little bit of a relaxed setting in competition right now is letting the market take its time to fix itself. Now, 2024, this is an election year. Historically, interest rates do come down in election years, especially as we get closer to the actual election in November. And there are a lot of banks that are predicting that the Fed is going to do a little bit of a cut on interest rates fairly soon. Now, they've been sort of telling us that since last year, and it hasn't quite happened yet, but that is what a lot of the big names in finance are predicting right now. But the moral of the story here really is that unless something drastic happens, somebody decides to make a really big change, we are unlikely to see the 5s in the interest rate world until sometime in 2025. I know it's hard to wait for that number, especially if you're a home buyer that's just been really excited to get into the market. I understand that it can be so hard to wait, but really this is very likely a good thing. The market needs time to put itself back together and to level out so that everyone can enjoy better options when it comes to choosing a home, a less competitive environment, and that we can just really get back to a more neutral and healthy market overall. To sort of wrap up our discussion today, I just want to share a quote with you. When it comes to the real estate forecast for the next 5 years, I'm cautiously optimistic. I believe we're going to see a lot of ebb and flow over the next 5 years, some highs, some lows, but overall a healthy market. Prices should continue to rise, though more slowly, and buyers might enjoy more options as inventory expands. But remember, real estate is profoundly local. What happens on a national scale can manifest differently in your backyard. I've built my real estate career and my platform on information, knowledge, and preparation being the pillars of a successful home purchase. Being a homeowner is one of the most important and financially huge decisions that you will ever make, and that's whether you're purchasing a primary home or the first or the 10th door in your investment portfolio. It is so important to start planning early and to have appropriate knowledge when you're doing so. So, as always, please feel free to reach out to me if you're looking to buy in New Hampshire, buy or sell in New Hampshire, Maine, or Massachusetts, or anywhere else in the country. Whether you're thinking about it for the end of this year, for next year, for 5 years from now, I would love to talk with you and start a plan in motion. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful. Please comment, send me a message if you have any topics you'd like me to cover next month. I do a market update every month. And let's see what happens the rest of the year. I'm dedicated to bringing you the most important and most relevant information and to making it easily digestible for those of us who, are not involved in this world every single day. Thanks so much for watching. Check out my website, realestatewithhunter.com, to see an archive of my market updates past. Have a good one.